will start the April Mosey with a just completed project, and it's the last Flagstone project. In front of the Jensen Center, Steve Shumway and his crew just finished this last Friday. Still rough around the edges, literally. We have a lot of work to do around the edges, but the surface is done, and this is the last Flagstone project. We started, the first one was the South Campus walk in May of 2020, so it's a 5-year project, now complete. We're going to fill the edges with soil, and I already have things ordered to plant. We're going to do zigzag goldenrod and big leaf aster and columbine and some Pennsylvania sedge and a few other native plants. We'll get those planted probably in mid to late May and get this back looking good again. But the surface is great, and I'm glad that we finally finished our 5-year Flagstone walk project. Plants are starting to realize that it's spring, and some are starting to grow. One of the earliest blooming native trees or shrubs is right here. This is beaked hazelnut, and these structures right here are the male flowers, or the male flower structures. They're called catkins. See them on birch also and on ironwood. And they'll get longer yet. They were much shorter than this even a week ago, maybe a ½ an inch long. And they'll get up to 3 inches long sometimes, and then actually this already has some pollen coming out. So this is the pollen producing structure. And then you have separate female flowers. Eric will show you this in a little while. They're really tiny right now. They're dark maroon and really pretty, but they're so small that they're easy to miss. And they'll get to about 1/8 of an inch or so in diameter, and they'll receive the pollen from the male flowers. So this is an example of what's called a monoecious plant. Monoecious is Latin for one house, separate male and female flowers, but on the same plant. Oaks are in that group. Lots of plants are monoecious, as opposed to dioecious plants. Dioecious is Latin for two house, and that's separate male and female plants. So some plants just have female flowers, some just have male flowers, like bittersweet, holly, honey locust. There are lots of dioecious plants, and then there are some plants that have both sexes in the same flower, like apple, and that's called synaceous or same house in Latin. But big hazelnut is a monoecious plant, separate male and female flowers, but on the same plant. And again, these catkins will get quite a bit longer, and you get a look at these tiny but beautiful female flowers in just a little bit here. We had to put a new drain field in at the Jensen Center for our septic system, and here is what the drain field looks like now. And the plan is to plant this to, for lack of a better word, a prairie. Prairies aren't actually native in northern Door County, but there are some prairie type plants that are. So we're gonna just let the weeds come spring and summer, and we'll keep killing the weeds and let them flush and get rid of most of those. And we'll seed this to a custom prairie mix in September. We'll use little blue stem and black-eyed Susan and lance leaf coreopsis and bee balm and a few others, and we'll make this a kind of a meadow planting, because if we do nothing, it's going to be a horrendous weed patch pretty quickly. So that's the plan for the septic drain field. We are expanding our herb garden. This is just a little off the northwest corner of the lodge. We added a larger bed on the north end. And that's where we're going to grow cherry tomatoes, I hope. And then we're also doing a border along the south and the west and the north border of this garden. It'll be a 2-foot tall bed, about 2 feet wide, and we'll be able to grow more herbs and maybe some lettuce, some things like that, maybe some cutting flowers for the dining room. So we'll expand our growing space by quite a bit with that new bed on the north end and then this border bed on the southwest and north edge. And Gene Kenny, who's on our board of directors and a woodworker and carpenter, was busy in here yesterday because he built the north bed a week or two ago, but none of this border was here yesterday, so he was busy. A lot of people think that when they start seeing the buds swelling and turning green, that they're just being produced in the spring. This is a pagoda dogwood in front of the lodge, and these buds were here since last midsummer. The buds for the next year on trees and shrubs, other woody plants, are produced the previous year, and much of next year's growth is already predetermined in that bud. So they've been here all winter, and then now they're just becoming noticeable because they're getting bigger and they're turning green. This is also right in front of the lodge, and this is these buds are even much further along. They're growing leaves already. This is our native elderberry, scarlet elder, also called red-berried elder. And they start very early too, and they are a fast-growing plant. You can cut them down to the ground, and they can grow back as much as 7-8 feet. In fact, from right here, this stem right here is all last year's growth, and that's got to be 8 or 9 feet tall. So they are vigorous plants, fast growing. They get a little bit rank looking sometimes, and when that happens, you just cut them down to the ground and let them grow back. You'll lose 1 year of flower and fruit if you do that, but you get a nice plant in the end. But this is scarlet elder with its new spring growth.